This is a Cleveland Cavaliers championship ring.
Wow. And I just think that's hilarious because what does a pastor need with a Warren Buffett signature? I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Mental Quality Stories. My name is Buster. We have Josh Luber here, and we're each going to go through 5 items from our collections that we want to talk about. So, Josh, do you want to show off your first item here?
This was like impossible to come down to 5 items. So I tried to pick something that was different, that represent different parts of my career, different parts of my life. So I will start with the oldest item I have here. This is a Cleveland Cavaliers championship ring.
Wow.
All right, now this isn't the same ring that LeBron and Team Get. Those guys have real diamonds. These are the ones. This is for the people that work in the organization. As you know, my partner at StockX was Dan Gilbert, who's on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we had these rings as part of a release that we did at StockX, and then we were able to give them to the StockX team members. So this was being close to the guys and everything else. So pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. What was it like in 2016 being near Dan Gilbert?
Yeah, it's funny. I have a ticket from Game 7, which I considered. I considered many different items for this. I wasn't going to give Darren Ravel the satisfaction of using a ticket as one of my 5 memorabilia here. Look, we were just so lucky to be part of that and have this all happening around us. I started working with Dan in the summer of 2015, 2 days before the finals started, their first finals, the first of 4 finals runs. And at that point, I barely knew him, but by next finals, I was going to every game. And we were just organically part of that because it was StockX, because of everything that we did. And, he couldn't have been more accommodating to let us be a part of that. I mean, we weren't actually part of the Cavs, but that was also kind of how his sort of ethos of the different companies that he ran and everything. But like this whole thing came together. I mean, we literally included a Cavs championship ring in a release that we did on StockX, right? And that was purely because Dan and the Cavs and everyone else was all about sort of including all of us and everything else. It was amazing. I went to every final. I was at Game 7 in 2016. I mean, come on.
Dude, that's so cool. That was probably the greatest game in NBA history. So
Yeah. Unbelievable. And then we're on the court, and then we're in the locker room, and it's just, it's it's amazing. By the way, it's also very much like that rookie who gets to the finals in their first game. I mean, that was, like my first full year at StockX, and I've already been in the finals twice. Now we win the championship. I'm like, you can only go down from there. So,
it's good that you joined then and not like a year later.
Totally.
All right, here's my first item. I think this is just hilarious. So this is a letter from a pastor that wrote to Warren Buffett asking for a signed photograph. Which, what does a pastor need with Warren Buffett's photograph or signature or anything? Warren, he was basically like, I wish you well, please send me a signed photograph. And Warren wrote, don't have any photos, but here's a signature. And then gave it a really nice Warren E. Buffett on the bottom and sent it back to him. And somehow through the auction rings, it ended up with me. And I just think that's hilarious because what does a pastor need with a Warren Buffett signature? I love that.
By the way, on the topic of being around Dan and the Cavs, so Dan brought Warren Buffett to a Cavs game, and anytime there was any notable person, in the building that was through there, they invited us to be a part of it. Was there something we could just, Dan understanding that StockX was about culture and the things that we were doing. And for a while, Dan was on this idea of making a pair of Warren Buffett sneakers to sell. And I don't know, maybe you would have been you and the pastor would have been the only purchasers for those shoes.
I would have bought that.
But, yeah. Stuff like that. By the way, have you've seen the Steve Jobs letter back where someone writes for asking for Steve Jobs' autograph, and he writes a letter back and says, I don't give autographs, and signs it and sends it there.
Yeah, that's a famous one. Steve was much more difficult than Warren. Warren's happy to sign for fans and things like that, although it's still a top 5 most expensive signature of anybody living on Earth today. But yeah, Steve is iconic. I've actually seen those photos of Buffett sitting courtside at the Cavs game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they made big heads of him. Dan's company, Fathead. So they made these big fat heads of Warren Buffett and gave them out to everybody. So yeah.
So funny. All right, you want to go ahead with your second item here?
Yes, yes. So, like again, try to make uh, a couple in each different category. So this was very much like a StockX Dan Cavs thing. This is the StockX. This is the sneaker one. Right.
Oh,
Obviously, these are the Eminem Carhartts. So these were given to me by Paul Rosenberg when we signed the deal for Eminem to be an investor in StockX and be part of it. I've only ever worn them indoors on stage, given presentations. I don't know what the latest price. At one point, these were selling for over $30,000. Obviously, I did not pay $30,000 for these, but the fact that these were given to me by Paul Rosenberg for the partnership with Eminem, and then we later obviously did a video with Eminem, and he was very involved relatively for the business. So this is my one pair of sneakers for the collection. Obviously, I will never sell these. I will never give these away. These are pretty special. So.
oh, that's awesome. And I'm glad that you do wear them for special occasions too. You've sort of like figured out the hack of, both keeping them pristine but also doing what they were made for. I love that.
Yep. But it also worked out very well in when I was at StockX, and we would give a lot of talks every year about StockX. There's many different Air Jordan 4s, and there's many that are black and look very similar to this. So if you don't know, right, you would say, well, there's another black Jordan 4 right over there that sells for $100. Why is that one $100? Why is this one $30,000? So it made for a good, sort of shoe to wear on stage, and then to be able to sort of educate the audience about, hey, this is why this pair sells for $100. This is why this one's selling for $30,000. So, yeah.
Love that. That is so cool. Well, I'm gonna disappoint you here with a ticket, but it's about as cool as tickets get. This is. Do you recognize what this is?
Is that the Willie Mays ticket?
Yep, it's the Willie Mays, the catch, and this is a ticket from right behind home plate. So Willie Mays, in my opinion, the greatest baseball player of all time, also the most underrated baseball player of all time. I mean, the dude just did everything, and this is the most iconic moment from his career and also in World Series history. The ground he covered at the speed that he covered with the equipment they had in 1954 is unreal. At that stadium, too. If anybody hasn't seen the catch, go back and watch it. It is one of the coolest things in sports history, so I had to have this in the collection.
So that's unbelievable. And what you didn't know, and someone is going to see this and think that we set this up. So I brought this many cards, and I was going to sort of decide live which card I would use for my card to show you. There's Otani number 5, Embiid, Prism, rookie.
That's pretty casual, one of one.
Pele PSA 8, the Ted Lasso card, the Kim Kardashian collection, Luka Black rookies. But the one we're gonna use is my 52 Topps Willie Mays.
Wow, it's
so
a beauty.
This, for some reason, when I collected cards as a kid, I was born in 78. I really started collecting in like 84, 85. And then, around the time I become like 10, 11, started really getting, for some reason, I had all the standard junk wax era cards, Griffey, all that. But for some reason, I collected Willie Mays. So it was the only person I collected other than the standard cards. And this was my bar mitzvah present from my parents to me. Right, and it was in a screw down case at the time. I got it slabbed years later, and they gave it to me in a box that was basically like a 5-foot high box, and there were 40. I don't know, there were 10 or 11 boxes inside of it, and they were all wrapped. So I opened the box, I ripped it open, another box, another box, another box, another box, and then this was at the bit. And so I've had this card since I was 13 years old. I later had it slabbed. It came out of 5, which was pretty nice. And so this is like my childhood collection, history, all of it. Like Willie Mays was my guy. And the fact that you had the ticket made an easy decision between all the other cards to go. So that is my trading card.
Oh, talk about foresight from your parents. I mean, that's pretty good by them, huh?
Yep. Yeah, and again, to your point, the difference in price, even back then, between the Maze and the Mantle was crazy. And obviously, we all wish we bought 52, Mantles in 1991. But I mean, the relative difference was crazy, and obviously, it still is. So,
Yeah, I was just going to say, you could make the argument that it still is today.
yep.
All right. I don't know if I might have told you this at some point, but my biggest collection, which I show at least one of on every episode. So I've been buying all the original SpongeBob artwork for a few years now. The first season was painted by hand. All the backgrounds are one of one. They were used in production. It was done in 1999, so really the end of animation being done by hand. And the artwork, I go after the most iconic ones from memes and scenes that are very well known. I'm going to show you one here that's called a pan. So this is a pan background from inside the Krusty Krab from an iconic scene where there are lots of memes and fire. There's a famous SpongeBob breathing fire meme from that exact scene. And I just love this stuff. It is one of one. It is artwork. It is recognized by potentially billions of people around the world. It's, on Amazon Prime. It's on everywhere. It's used in internet memes millions of times a day. And there's only one of each. And that's why I love the SpongeBob artwork. But it's also the only way I can physically buy back my childhood. Like, there are cards, but those are mass-produced. There is, sealed video games. I'll talk about that later. But to actually hold a one-of-one piece of your childhood, that's why that's so special to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty awesome. This is the age difference between us, right? Like, SpongeBob was, sort of already past my time growing up, but I get it, and that's really cool. I mean, to find that piece is really cool. I mean, the whole thing, and I've seen you posting about it and stuff like that, so it's pretty awesome.
Thank you, man. All right, what's your next item?
All right, so these physically are trading cards, okay? But unlike the last, which is clearly a single card that represents the card itself and sort of the history of collecting, this is more about sort of my career as an entrepreneur and particularly my last couple of years. So this is a trading card set. Obviously, I'm going to flip it in a second. This is a trading card set that never existed. It is a set we worked on at StockX and very much led to my work to leave StockX and then to go create Fanatics Collectibles and to create Zero Cool and everything there. This is a set that we made with Upper Deck, or we were trying to make with Upper Deck. It is a sample set. It is 100. First of all, it's 1989 Upper Deck design, and it is what we were trying to do at Zero Cool. It's trading card for non-sports. So Billie Eilish, Murakami, Alexander Arnault, J Balvin, Jerry Lorenzo, Travis Kelce, Mark Wahlberg, John Wexler, Salehi, Big Sean, Lena Waithe, Shepard Fairey, Futura, Carly Kloss, Daniel Arsham, Steve Aoki, Shoe Surgeon, Nigel Sylvester, Erica. I mean, it goes on like that, right? 100 cards. They let us use the 89 Upper Deck design. This was in collaboration with Upper Deck. It took 2 years. We started working on this in February of 2018. I left StockX in September of 20, and it was basically ready to go. And then who knows what happens once I leave, and then it sort of fell apart, and it was never published and never put out there. These are the samples, from that. But this was very much what we were trying to do at StockX. It led to my work at Fanatics Collectibles, Zero Cool, everything. And I mean, just the people in there. I mean, this is Billie Eilish from 2018, right?
That's so cool. So cool.
Right, and it has like stats on the back and either StockX stats or whatever else. I mean, just everything about it is just. I wish that it had come out, but now it's kind of cooler that it didn't. And the fact that each one of these people, by the way, everyone did this for free, because think about calling up people in 2018 and saying, "Hey, we want to do a trading card set." Right? Trading cards were nowhere near. They didn't. This is before COVID, before all of that. So it was all people that were just sort of into it for the right reasons, to do it for fun. If we had sold it, we would have done some sort of charity angle or something. But everyone's like, yeah, I want a trading card of myself. Right now, it would almost be passé. So anyway, a set that I wish that happened, led to a lot in my career. But the StockX Upper Deck trading card set for culture.
That is crazy. And by the way, most of those people, I'd say almost all of them, have never had a card. So it would have been all of their rookie cards. A lot of the biggest people in culture and entertainment. That's pretty special.
Thank you.
Were there going to be signed cards in that set?
There were going to be parallels, right? We weren't going to go through the process because, signing, you got to send it out, get it back. But there were going to be a series of parallels. There were, all that, but never happened. And I still believe so much in the idea of trading cards for non-sports, for culture, for all the most important people other than athletes. And Topps Fanatics still owns the Zero Cool brand. Maybe one day it'll be a focus, but obviously they have a lot of other things to focus on now. So we'll see.
No, totally. I couldn't agree more. And you can see in the auction results of things like you alluded to a Kim Kardashian card earlier, or there's some other superstar cards that are out there floating in the ether. I have I showed on the last episode. I showed one of the rock cards, from that Bumblebee set. People want them. Staying on the Warren Buffett universe, this is a book, the Tao of Charlie Munger. And when Charlie was 99 and a half, so just a few months ago, friends had written a book about Costco. And Charlie is on the board of Costco. And Charlie helped them a little bit with that book because Charlie loves the Costco brand and loved these people in the book. And they knew how big of a fan I was of Charlie and Warren. So they told Charlie about me, that he had a 23-year-old fan, and Charlie was blown away by the fact that someone young, liked him. He was tickled by that fact. So let me see if I can find the page, but he signed this out to me, a couple weeks before he ended up passing. And there it is.
That's pretty awesome. And the timing of that, to be able to have that right before he passed is pretty amazing.
Lived a long life, donated billions of dollars to charity, built schools. As far as people can do, he did pretty good.
For sure. That's pretty amazing. Congrats. That's an all-time keeper.
Thanks, man. You have one more item, is that right?
I have one more item. Okay, so moving through cards, sneakers, we're now at toys. And obviously with the sort of imminent launch of Ghost Stripe, which you've probably seen some of this going out, I could have gone with the Eastside Golf one, which was the first one that we created. I could have gone with the sample we made of Homelander for Seth Rogen. You can see the little milk mustache that was on there. There's only two of these that exist, one for Seth, one for me. But I have to go with this one. This is the 3D printed sample that when it took 8 months to work on the design to get to a collectible toy design that was enough. There was enough unique aspects to it, but in and of itself, it wasn't a character, right? The ghost has no face, it has no gender. It's just a blank canvas to tell other people's stories. And for the first, we finished the design in March, and then we made this in September. So for however many months that is, 6-7 months, this was all I did. I just walked around with this. There's no business plan. There's no deck. I just walked around with this in my pocket. And it's still very much the shape is the brand. And so I'll look back, and if we hopefully, knock on wood, goes right into the brand that we think it can be. Then we look back and have that sort of first 3D printed ghost as the start of it all. So that's it.
That's awesome. I love that. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
All right, the last item here, I showed it quickly, but these are the two different variations of the first sealed SpongeBob game. One of the things that took it to the next level. There aren't so many sealed ones out there because, like a lot of those games, who would have thought to keep them? And it's not like SpongeBob was the brand that it is today back then. So these are the first ever sealed SpongeBob games, and pretty iconic and special. And again, just a brand that I am, in big part because of my age, just so confident in, because of everyone my age can reference every single episode from the first season, quote by quote, line by line, and what happens when that age group hits their financial maturity, starts having kids, starts teaching their kids, that just cycles.
What year was the first season?
99.
99. Okay, yeah, so that makes sense, right? I was a senior in college in 99, and so yeah. Cool. Are you gonna get them graded or slabbed or something to protect them, or?
I look at it similar to the artwork. They deserve to be graded for sure because they're video games and video game grading is common, but like you can't grade artwork. So as of right now, I sort of love having it in the same vein where like some of my artwork is up in like museum frames, some of it's in storage facilities, some of it's hung up in museum quality, hang, whatever you would call it. Uh,
I just like the from a display standpoint though, right? Like, and because it's sealed, it's so easy for like that to get like ripped or just because it's
it's
just
true.
a sealed.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
have.
kind of like the right, which by the way is so much better than like with cards or other things. It's one of the really nice things about video game grading.
No, it's totally true, and I have all my NBA games graded. But I have a bunch of the SpongeBob ones. I will send them in at some point, but I'm also waiting. I'll send them all in together.
Yeah.
That's part of it too. But like the thing I really want for there to be grading for is artwork. In the same way, like I want there to be a slab that can encapsulate like something
Yeah.
like this, or I'll show you the other pan cell that I have here. This is the opening scene in an episode called Texas. Um, I'd love for there to be something like that for a Picasso or a Da Vinci, or people will laugh at that, but that's just how I am as a
Yeah.
collector.
Yeah. No, I get it. Right. I mean, look, we don't need to go down this path, but grading completely changed trading cards, right? The industry would not be where it's at, without grading. And I think a lot of these others that are slowly starting to get there, whether it's video games, collectible toys, I think as people continue to use that and go down that path, those industries become much bigger and broader. So,
100%. Well, Josh, you're the man. Thank you for showing off 5 great items from your collection. We'll see everybody else on Mantle. See you guys.